What's up guys, it's a Saber Finder 4, another new deck profile for the standard format, and today we're going to be looking at a Stage 2 finally, our first Stage 2 I think, yeah, Pokemon TCG Live, and the honor is going to go to this Delphox right here from Silver Tempest. I call this deck Cyro Ignis, named after the many different Delphoxes I trained in Y and in the ORAS games. A lot of them, competitive Delphox for online battling. Good times. But this is a very cool Stage 2 Pokemon, as cool as they're going to make them these days. And the Delphox line is actually one of my favorite starter lines. Some people think this final form doesn't look good. I think it's great. But anyway, so this Stage 2 Pokemon has low HP, bad to standard retreat, I guess, at 2. And 2 attacks that are the only good thing about it, really. Flare Parade does 60 damage for each Serena card in your discard pile. It's a supporter card. And Energy Crush for 2, you do 50 times all of the energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, both of these attacks can be quite dangerous if set up correctly. Obviously, the Flare Parade is going to be the attack we're going to try and take advantage of most of the time, because it works with 1 energy, just 1 attachment, and we're ready to go. Stage 2 Pokemon these days need these types of attack. It's the only real attacks they can make use of, because they're just too slow and they're always going to be dying in 1 shot. So you got to be able to attack with 1 energy and do some significant damage. That's the point. So we get a bunch of these Serenas in the discard pile. You get 3 to 4. You're doing 180 to 240 damage for 1 energy. That's pretty good. Get 2 hit KOs basically on every Pokemon, and even some important 1 hit KOs. If you got 4 of the Serenas, 240, you're killing a lot of basic Vs, a lot of basic EXs, so it's pretty decent range. You do 120 for 1, that's still okay, because then if you get the other ones later, you can still set up for those 2 hit KOs, but you probably want to hit at least 180 per turn. And then the Energy Crush, I mean, if you get that luxury, sometimes you are going to be able to get that second attachment. I mean, 2 energy isn't that much anyway. And then we can just attach another one next to a different attacker, go for the first attack. You can basically do a lot of damage. I mean, if your opponent has, what, just 5 energy, that's 250. They got 6, that's 300. You're KOing a lot of stuff. And a lot of decks do put a lot of energy on their field. So it's a useful attack as well. Now, I only got 3 of these. You probably want to do 4 and then do 1 of Braixen, or just take something else out. But I was gonna craft the 4th one, and I saw that you need like 600 gems. I'm like, no way. Yeah, no thank you. It's too much. The crafting system, it just seems like the gems you have to pay are fixed. Some of them make sense, some of them don't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, this card isn't that competitive, I would imagine. So I don't know why you need that much. That's as much as you needed to craft like a Donphan EX, because I crafted one of those too. But anyway, just a 3-4-2 line. If you can do like a 4-4-4 line, do that. Braixen, gonna run 2 of this because I don't have the 4th Delphox. This can also kind of work. The Flare Parade attack is the exact same as the one from Delphox, but it just needs 2 energy. But I mean, in a desperate situation, you can use it and do a lot of damage that way. At least as an option. It's not a completely useless Stage 1. And then 4 of the Fennekin. This one, I think it's the only ones we got anyway, with lead. This can be sort of useful sometimes as well when you have a really horrendous start. You can just use this to grab a supporter. You're pretty much going to sacrifice a poor Fennekin this way, which you need to evolve, but sometimes it's good. Better than having a useless attack once again. Okay. Now the other partner for Delphox is going to be this Kirlia. You got to run something like this, or the... what's the name of the cat? I always forget the name. From Gen 5, like the little kitty Pokemon Dark type you get in the beginning. Anyway, but probably using Kirlia is better, because you can search it out with Level Ball. Only 80 HP is bad, but it means that we can search it out with Level Ball. And Level Ball is going to be able to search out a lot of things in this deck. That's why. Make it as consistent as we can. It gives you that draw power, and it's a method to discard cards. We want to discard those Serenas so we can get the big damage. Otherwise, we can't really do much. In Expanded, this would have been even easier. You got broken things like Battle Compressor. But I don't play Expanded because it doesn't have a ranked mode. And I think they're still developing it, still programming stuff in it. You can't use all of the cards. Only up to a Sun and Moon, I think, still. Anyway. But I do 3 Kirlia. And then 4 of the routes, have enough of them to make sure we get them down. You want to get 2 to 3 down at least. And having the Kirlia engine is important because when you don't have this, you're really going to be slow. And a lot of the times I find that if I don't get a decent little Kirlia setup, it's when I lose. I mean, sometimes you're going to lose no matter what, but Kirlia helps. And then the other Pokemon is just some support Pokemon. I run this Radiant Jirachi in this deck here. Look at it sparkling. So this Pokemon is pretty good because you leave it as a decoy there. If your opponent has to kill it, they can't sort of switch around it. It's going to give you 3 cards from the deck, which is amazing. I mean, I can't really think of any other Radiant Pokemon we can utilize. Greninja wouldn't be very good in this deck because I don't run a lot of energies, nor do I want to discard them. Something like the Serena, our Pokemon has low HP anyway, the healing doesn't matter. I think that just makes the most sense. So if I open with it, it's pretty good as well. Also, a card that if you open with and they kill, it gives you that necessary boost to keep up with your opponent. I find that a lot of times when I open with this and they kill it, I get everything that I need to just be faster and then eventually win. So it's pretty nice. And then the mana fee for a little bit of bench protection. You gotta have this, I guess. Have a bunch of small Pokemon. Make sure that I got at least 10 basics in the deck. In my eyes, you should try to aim for something like that. You don't mulligan all day. And we can get this with E-Reader too, I suppose. 1 water Pokemon. Alright. Trainers. So the trainers in this deck, a lot of standard stuff once again, but we do have a lot of extra shit, I'd say. So first things first, the balls, Nest Ball max out, Level Ball max out, and 3 Ultra Balls as well. So a lot of balls. Get our basic Pokemon really quickly. We need to do that. And Ultra Ball is a method to get Delphox, Discard Outlet, pretty good. Level Ball gets a lot of things, Kirlia, Routes, Fennekin, Braixen. It's just going to get a lot, even Manaphy. So gotta have it. And then I've got the 4 Rare Candy to get into Delphox, standard stuff once again. And I have 1 Energy Search as well. As opposed to having like the 11th Fire Energy, just have this. It's going to be a deck thinning card. Draw 1 in a way, like add 1 card. All about thinning our deck, consistency. So I want to have this too. Alright. Got the 1 Tech Switch. You probably don't really need to have this, but just in case, I guess, they try and get the Kirlia stuck. I mean, I suppose, yeah. Kirlia does have to retreat, which is ridiculous. And this is going to help us a little bit if they do decide to get it stuck. I don't want to put 2 attachments to retreat and it's too slow anyway. So having 1 of this is good. We can't really go overboard. We don't have the space for more switching cards. And most of the time, if they don't try and get a Pokemon like that stuck, you don't really need switch much. But just the 1 Tech in, you never know when it can be handy. Alright. Any other items? I don't think so. The stadium of choice is going to be 2 Path to the Peak. The only card that conflicts with Path to the Peak here is the Jirachi, which if we don't really are able to utilize in the early game or start with it, we're not really going to utilize at all. So I don't care too much about it. Path to the Peak is just too broken. Stops too much stuff. So that's why I want to have 2. Counter Stadium. Not many other stadiums I would consider, to be honest. I mean, for a stage 2 Pokemon like this, we don't need something like Magma Basin. I guess you could do that if you want to, but I don't see the point, to be honest. We don't need a lot of energies to attack. It can help out our opponent if they use a fire deck. Well, they're probably going to have that anyway. But, yeah, the disruption aspect, the lock aspect is nice. So I gotta have it. Okay, and now we got some supporters here. I got the double Professor Research. This is a discard outlet, but I don't want to go overboard because we are running a stage 2 deck. And got a bunch of stage 1s too. We don't want to dump those, so got to be careful with this card. do the double copycat. In a lot of decks, sometimes I use 2 of this, sometimes I use 1. It really just depends. I'm always sort of testing things out a little bit. It won't be long before we get the new N supporter, and these cards are probably going to see less play. The little chick that works like N, a much stronger N actually, I think. But Copycat, it's pretty good against all of the comfy decks, against decks that draw a lot of cards. You draw a lot of cards back, it's pretty good. Got 1 Shauna as well, only 1 because we're running a bunch of Serenas, but this is still some solid, decent, I guess, shuffle and draw. That's always going to be 5, so that's good enough. The 1 Irida, my Skyla of the deck. Get a rare candy, get something, level ball, ultra ball, just good to have it, comes up. And then the Cynthia's Ambition. Our Pokemon are going to be dying a lot, and you can get a big plus with this. It kind of conflicts with Kirlia, and it conflicts with a lot of stuck cards in hand. But 1 copy, it can be pretty solid. And then, I guess the new faces that I don't use all the time. Before we get to those, the 1 boss's orders win the game. Use it at the right time, pretty good. And we even have Serena for more pull in here. So, in this deck, like in this Delphox deck, where we need this card to boost our damage, it's kind of nice. It has many different purposes, so it becomes a really good card here. Obviously, we can use this as a discard outlet and to draw cards, which is good. And it can be used as a pulling card too. V Pokemon are still being played, so if you pull something at the right time, it can be pretty great. Get that pull in. You know, it's like I have 5 boss's orders in a way in this deck. So that's always going to be handy when you got this option, but it can also be used as a draw card and obviously fuel for our attack. Now in the future, it probably won't be as good. I mean, it already, you know, V Pokemon aren't going to be relevant forever. But I mean, in this deck, we need it for Delphox anyway. So max this out, try and dump it, try and use it, you know, so our Delphox can attack for high damage. And then the new face, a card that I really like, in this deck, it makes a lot of sense to me, this Miriam card. The Pot of Avarice of Pokemon finally arrived. So I think this card is very, very good. It could have been maybe better if it let you recover energies too, but then maybe it would have been too broken, because I do think it's an excellent recovery card. You shuffle up to 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck, and then you can draw 3 cards. So the up to is extremely huge. I didn't even realize when I made the review, I think, because it just means that you can shuffle like 3 Pokemon, 2 Pokemon, even just 1 Pokemon, and then you get what you need. Like I can recover like my stage 2 is the most important thing, Delphox, and then just draw 3 cards. So it's gonna be like a solid draw supporter card. It's amazing, and in this deck we need that recovery. So this is the best card to use for me. Recover those Delphoxes. I only have 3 at the end of the day, and maybe recover some other Pokemon, you know, Fennigans, maybe discarded Kirlias, you never know. Just depending on the game state, this card is awesome, and I've really been enjoying it in this deck. Alright, and I mean, this is pretty much the deck. Energies is just 8 fire energies and 8 gift energies. I was gonna say 10 fire, but no, I've got the gift energies too. I forgot about them. So I only have 2 of this. Maybe if I had more, I'd use more. But once again, it's something that can conflict with Jirachi, conflict with other cards. But since Delphox doesn't need fire, you can just use anything. Then having these gift energies, if our dude die, if our Pokemon die, you draw until you have 8. It's pretty nice. Draw until you have 7, excuse me. And once again, it just boosts your consistency, gives this deck much needed support. Keep up with your opponent. So I got 2 of these. There's other special energies you could use, but most of the good ones rotated, to be honest. Like special energies. I mean, I've got, you can see them here actually. I guess convenient. All of these like gift energy, treasure energy, V-Guard energy. We can't really utilize many of these. Like the double, I guess you could use double turbo energy to go for the big energy attack instantly, but I decided against it. You can try it if you want. I think just 2 and 8 fire should do the job. I mean, this is going to decrease your attack, and most of the time It's only in some situations you want to use the 2 energy attack of Delphox. You don't want to rely on it on your opponent having a lot of energies. And your opponent, once they do see this, they're probably going to be careful. They're not going to have 10 energies on their field. So this can kill anything in one shot. So you got to keep that in mind. But this is the deck, guys. It's actually one of the best stage 2 decks you can use, to be honest. You get that little bit of speed with Kirlia. You can utilize all of the item cards here to great effect. I mean, things like Ultra Ball, Level Ball, they've got a lot of purposes in this deck, so it's nice, ensures consistency. You know, your supporter Serena, obviously you need this for your big damage, but it's also a card that, you know, you don't gotta waste. If you got a bunch of these, it means it works as your supporter. So once again, that dual purpose, triple purpose if you pull, and it ensures consistency. I don't know a better way to say it. It's just the cards in this deck, they do a lot, and unfortunately stage 2 Pokemon need all of these little things together if they're going to stand a chance, because any other stage 2 Pokemon, like the stage 2 Pokemon that do like 200 for 3 energies and shit and have these types of attacks, are just too inefficient. They're going to die in one shot anyway. Difficult to keep getting out and powering up. That energy amount is just too slow. Delphox, just 1 energy attachment, get that big damage, overwhelm your opponent. As long as you can keep getting these out turn after turn and have one ready, after your opponent kills the first, the other Delphox is ready to attack for big damage, then you can overwhelm the rule box Pokemon and maybe get some victories. So Cyro Ignis, shout out to all of the Delphoxes that I trained in my video games, good times. And I'm going to show you guys matches with the deck. Hope you look forward to it. So subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share this video with your friends, and I see you guys on the matches. What up?